It's not a needle in a haystack. It's the tip of a tiny needle in the biggest haystack you can ever think is what you're looking for.
The rescue of a downed American airman from the mountains of Iran has revealed a secret CIA tool known as Ghost Murmur. Reported by the New York Post to be a breakthrough in quantum magnetometry, the technology isolates the electromagnetic signature of a human heartbeat to find people where traditional sensors fail. I spoke with military expert Philip Ingram to find out more. So, Philip, some amazing James Bond-style technology has been used to rescue the second airman from Iran. What is it and how do they use it?
Well, the James Bond type technology is, as described in the article, detecting the heartbeat of the downed aircrew at a distance thousands of kilometers away, using some very specialist technology that the CIA have been keeping quiet for years. I'm slightly skeptical at the detail that there is in the article about the technology and the ability to detect heartbeat, but there are certainly an awful lot of technologies out there that people are not aware of that can detect different things at very long ranges, and US intelligence services will have been using everything that they have at their disposal to try and track, trace and pinpoint the position of the downed aircrew.
This is a rescue that's very historic. It'll go down in the books.
Can you attempt to explain in layman's terms how quantum magnetometry works?
In essence, what you're doing is you're using the power of computing to look for a specific frequency that stands out from other frequencies that are in the background noise that's going on. So if we think of what's going on around the world when it comes to different signals and things, as everyone walks, as every vehicle moves, as every animal moves, it vibrates. It creates a vibration in the earth. As every phone signal goes out, or every car's transmitting data back to somewhere or other, or everything else, there's signals in the electromagnetic spectrum. Things that are big and overt and deliberately done, you can identify, and that's what your signals interception does and everything else. An awful lot of the rest of the stuff happens in what's called the noise. So it's all of this background activity. As an insect beats its wings, it's creating background activity. We get a solar flare, it's creating background activity in the electromagnetic spectrum. And therefore, it's been able to isolate some of the different signals that are in that background activity is where this technology comes into it. And that's the real difficulty. That's the real complexity. And it's finding a pattern. You look for a particular pattern and you then search everything that's going on in the background. And this is where quantum level of computing, and this is where artificial intelligence is needed to be able to find that tiny little pinpoint.
We achieved our primary objective by finding and providing confirmation that one of America's best and bravest was alive and concealed in a mountain crevice, still invisible to the enemy, but not to the CIA.
This was developed by Lockheed Martin's Skunk Works. What does that tell you about the maturity of this technology that was deployed in a live, denied environment like Iran?
Well, Lockheed Martin, Skunk Works, like all of the big defense contractors, are working on cutting edge technologies to get into defense. I'm not surprised that it's a commercial organization that's developed it, because they have the cash, the scientific and engineering expertise to be able to throw at different problems, and they're constantly researching them as part of wider research contracts that they've got with the Department of Defense and others. So whenever we hear of a US government capability or a British government capability or something else, there will be a commercial entity behind it somewhere, or certainly engaged with it. In the UK, we're very fortunate in that we've got the Defence Evaluation Research Agency, DERA, which is owned by the government, but it's sold off an element of it, which is now Kinetic, its commercial arm, and Kinetic does an awful lot of this sort of research on behalf of the British government. Some of the technologies that are out there, I wish I could explain to you in detail what they are. And I remember having seen them and looking at them, and I have done a degree in applied sciences. My mind was blown away when some of the theories of science that I had been taught at university were shown to be blown out of the water by some of the technologies that I saw on display.
If we can find a heartbeat in a crevice, is there anywhere left to hide?
I think with modern technology and the way it's developing, and the way AI is going and quantum computing is going, trying to find places to hide is becoming increasingly difficult. It'll never be impossible because there will always be one way of staying one step ahead. But that, at the moment, is in the science fiction realm. And therefore, just watch your scientific fiction series, Star Treks and all the rest of it. And a lot of these capabilities are in development or will come in the future.
The pilots had a traditional beacon. The CIA mentioned secondary confirmation using thermal contrast. How do the intelligence agencies layer these futuristic tools to ensure the SEAL team aren't being sent into a trap?
And that's a very good question. We hear of all of these different techniques and procedures for trying to identify something. Intelligence doesn't work on a single source. If you've got a single source, you've got information. You've got information to say, we think there might be something there. And then what you want to do is use other sources to try and prove that there's something there. And this is where a thermal signature, and this could be done by the Americans either through a fixed-wing aircraft, that could have been a manned aircraft, or it could be a drone that's looking for a thermal signature where they've picked up this signal, or it could be from a satellite in space. And what you do is you say, we think we've got something there that matches the pattern that we have. And then you get another sensor to have a look at it. And that sensor goes, oh, actually, we've got a heat pattern there. That's the thermal confirmation. We've got a heat pattern there that matches what we would expect from someone of human being size hiding in that particular area. And you can do a thermal profile on it to see the temperatures and everything else, and go, yep, we've certainly got something that is a mammalian in that location, and is of the sort of size we'd expect to be a human. So it's not a rabbit, it's not a mouse or something else, but it is of human size. You put the two together and you've got a bit of confirmatory information coming across. The more different techniques that you can use to confirm that you've got something, the greater the percentage accuracy you can put on your assessments.
Trump mentioned 2 rescue planes getting stuck and needing to be destroyed. Does the use of Ghost Murmur suggest we're becoming more reliant on high-tech magic bullets, while the boots on the ground side remains as messy as ever?
No, I don't think you can say we're being more reliant on high-tech. High-tech provides a tool to get you something. In this case, the high-tech, along with other high-tech and supplemented by low-tech, CIA agents on the ground and other things, helped identify where the pilot was or where the aircrew man was, and the potential threats that were coming into the area, to build up this recognized ground picture, so that people could understand what's happening. But at the end of the day, you still need boots on the ground. We have to look at all of the conflicts that are happening. You look at the trenches in Ukraine, and there's still hand-to-hand fighting happening. You look at what happened with British troops in Afghanistan and Iraq. In Iraq, there was the call to fix bayonets and to charge the enemy that were there, and bayonet fighting happened in Iraq. We have all the technology in the world, but at the end of the day, warfare comes down to a guttural human being on human being activity. And that's what's horrifying about it.